Please rise for Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a short invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our dear Heavenly Father, we thank Thee for giving us the opportunity to come before the public here tonight and transact business on their behalf. We ask that you lead us and guide us to make the right and appropriate decisions for the majority of our residents. And God bless America. Amen. Amen. Roll call.
Mr. Bryant?
Here.
Ms. Lease?
Here.
And Mr. Beck's absent.
Correct. I move approval of the agenda.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Lease?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye. I move approval of the minutes from the regular meeting minutes for August 3rd, 2021, and for the special meeting minutes for August 11th, 2021.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
Ms. Lease?
Aye.
We will now hear the fiscal officer's report for August.
Our HRA account at the end of August stood at $25,515.94. Our working account as of August 31st was $9,143,243.38. That total included second half taxes in the amount of $4,233,036.74, and it also included the first installment from the ARP funds, which was $784,899.69. Our meter account for July 31st, I don't have August. It did come in today, but it was after I was gone from the office. But as of July 31st, it stood at $8,123,137.98. Our major account balances, the general fund stands at $2,815,166.53. Our police is at $1,159,527.32. The fire is at $384,384.30. The road and capital fund stands at $1,192,142.98, and the safety services fund is at $3,217,560.36. There are 3 grant programs that we're going to try to take advantage of. One is the Township Stimulus Program. This is a one-time program providing federal funding to townships for sidewalk, roadway, and culvert projects. The allocation for this program will be administered by the Ohio Department of Transportation. Total funding available is $8 million with a funding limit of $250,000 per project. The American Rescue Plan provides $350 billion for states and local governments. Symmes Township share is $784,899.69, and we have received that amount already, and that same amount will come to us next year from that same ARP fund. Some of the qualifications for utilizing the fund include public health expenditures, for example, COVID-19 mitigation efforts. It can be used for replacing lost public sector revenues. It can be used to provide premium pay to essential workers. I think it's kind of a shame that they describe premium pay they use that descriptive instead of something like risk pay, because workers who have worked with exposure to COVID, trying to keep the township safe, I think that would have been better wording. Can also be used to invest in water, sewer, and storm sewer and broadband infrastructure. The third thing is the Community Development Block Grant. Hamilton counties will receive $3.5 million. The county can accept or reject applications for funds. Projects must benefit low to moderate income areas. Some of the approved uses of the funds are housing rehabilitation, and we were informed this does include a restoration of the Mead property. Can be used for acquisition of real estate, demolition of blighted structures, public safety improvements like ADA improvements, and infrastructure. That was all of my report.
Okay, any comments? Okay. Thank you. Seeing no presentations and no public hearings, I move approval of disbursements. Warrants number 79,857 through 800,042, and vouchers number 205 through 242 in the aggregate amount of $1,167,877.10.
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Ms. Lees?
Aye.
Mr. Beck? Or Mr. Bryan?
Aye. I wasn't going to answer for him.
Yeah.
Okay, we will now hear reports come before the board. First, Law Director.
Thank you. No report tonight.
Sergeant May, right?
Close enough.
Aye.
Lieutenant Downing filling in, so it's all right.
Sorry.
But we had no report.
I had my
tonight.
head down and I didn't
That's
see
just
the
fine.
change.
Thank you.
Okay. Chief Huber.
Good evening, Board. You have my written memo to the administrator in your packet that relates to two grants that were received by the fire department out of the Fire Act grant. And just for the edification for our residents, that the fire department received about a little over $200,000 for equipment and programs, which included thermal imaging cameras, $60,000 of training for training our paramedics, an air trailer to refill air bottles for the firefighters, and a fire prevention grant that provided for a smoke detector blitz that, we go door to door and provide those. Well, it's giving us over 300 smoke detectors to give out that are the new type of smoke detectors, the 10-year smoke detectors. So in the upcoming blitz program in the spring, we'll be going back to folks and trying to install as many of those as we can. It also pays for the overtime for firefighters to do that program.
Okay.
So we were very pleased. Our grant writer, David Molden, and Captain Hawk were instrumental in writing those grants, and we're very proud that we were able to bring those funds here back to the township, to the taxpayers. And that, I only have one other thing on the agenda, and I'll stand by for the trustees on that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Do you have anything from Director of Public Works, Kim?
No.
Any committee reports? None? Not hearing any. Any other? Okay, we'll now take an opportunity to hear from residents. I only ask that you come to the podium, identify yourself, your residence, and then tell us something we don't know.
Hi, my name is Barbara Wilson. I live at 7906 Clement Street, Camp Dennison, Ohio. I've been a resident there for 28 years. I'm here to talk to you about the beautification of Camp Dennison. We have lots of proposals for you. One of which, I can go over an outline with you, but one of which we would like to have some new signage at the entrance, the north and south entrance of Camp Dennison. much larger. It's in the area of, on the north end, we would like to see some signage put up, something similar to what we see elsewhere in Symmes Township, not the shingles, but the arm signs, much by Loveland area.
Do you have pictures of what you
I
have now?
do. And they are in here. There's quite a few different pictures. And I'll be talking, I'm just going to maybe go ahead and read with you what I have written down. These are some of the maps of the areas, and I'm going to be talking about the Cannon area. This is the signage of which I was speaking
Oh,
of.
so this is the sign we have
That
now.
is what
Yeah.
we have now.
It's
which
an
is-
interesting history on that sign, though.
It's a wonderful interest, it's a wonderful history.
Okay.
We would just like to have the same sign, only larger, like this, or like this one,
Mhm.
put into the triangle area, which is on the map here, as you come into Camp Dennison,
Where the cannon is?
where the cannon is. It's often overlooked. People don't see it. I just spoke to a resident that's been there for 2 years.
Okay.
They have not seen the sign until I pointed it out to them.
Okay.
I recently had the opportunity to meet with Jody, Trustee Jody Lease, and today I'm excited to share with you a series of proposals that would help enhance our community for both residents and visitors, as well as provide some much-needed safety improvements. Many of these ideas were inspired by the great work that you have already done in Symmes Township, the communities and the parks alike. Camp Dennison has an incredible history, which I'm sure that you're aware of. It's the largest Civil War training camp, just as you spoke to what is reflected in the sign that we already have, welcoming visitors into Camp Dennison, and is the home of the Waldschmidt House, one of the oldest homes in Hamilton County. Today, thousands of people visit Camp Dennison each year from the surrounding communities. They visit Grand Valley Nature Preserve, Camp Dennison Memorial Park, Indian Hill Winter Club, and the Little Miami Bike Trail. The bike trail alone has been used by over 2 million individual people, is what's reported by the ODNR, just in this past year. And with the upcoming new Moeller Sports Complex in Miamiville, we anticipate more visits to our area and increasing this spring, this coming spring when they open. If you're not familiar with Camp Dennison, the community is bisected, which I know you are.
Yeah.
State Route 126 and the Little Miami Bike Trail. To begin with, I want to focus on the gateway signage, which I've already spoken of, the north and south end of 126 welcoming visitors. Currently, the existing signs are small and overlooked, as I just referred to. I'm amazed at how many people have not seen the signs. On the north end of Camp Dennison, there was quite a bit of signage, one of which I believe is a state sign, and I'm not sure that it has to remain there, but it says Camp Dennison. Then our hanging shingle is there. I'm going to call it a shingle. Our existing Camp Dennison sign is there, and then along with it is our wonderful new speed sign that you helped us to get put in place.
It looks like it's hiding it.
It's all like all crammed together, so
Yeah.
you can't really
I
see
see.
anything. As I said, currently the existing signs are overlooked, but we would like the same artistic designs to mimic what we have, only on a larger scale. We would then move the signage to, the existing signage was a thought and a conversation that has come up, I'm amazed, by many residents. Take the existing signage and move it closer to the bike trail. People come through Camp Dennison, they have no idea where they are. They think they're in Newtown, they think that they have no idea where they are. And people holler out to us, what a cute little town, where are we at? And they continue to ride on by.
Okay.
So I think, Camp Dennison has this wonderful history that we would like to focus on. We have all these visitors coming through, and they have no idea where they are, and I think that it should be marked that we're in Symmes Township, Camp Dennison, with a great history to be found.
Bob, can I ask you a couple questions?
Mhm.
When we met, we were primarily talking about redoing the Cannon area because it's kind of like, it's not organized.
Right.
Okay.
The glass is on the end of the table.
Yeah. So now you would like signs. So I'm all about beautification.
Okay.
I love it. I love to make the township look beautiful, makes you proud of your township. So we have to organize in stages because obviously we're not going to have the money to do everything all at once. So are you talking about redoing the Cannon right now, or do you want signs right now?
I'm talking about both because one thing begets another, because if we're organizing that area where, as you can see, there's a picture of the Morgan's Raiders sign, it's almost off into the street. For some reason, it was placed there.
It's very disorganized.
And, as you saw, but, as we reorganize, my proposal is that we also have we have this wonderful entryway into Camp Dennison.
So you want to landscape that area, and then you want to put one of these signs in that area?
Yes.
Okay.
I would also, when I was,
Coordination of effort.
Right.
so I was gonna speak to that. So on the north end, it needs to be determined where possibly a larger sign could go. And I can get into that later on. I'll just leave it at that. My concentration, as we discussed, is the Cannon area, and I have some thoughts about that.
Okay.
Okay.
At the south end, I see a bigger opportunity where we could even possibly, and I think I kind of made mention of this to you when I met you, the road that is the inlet road coming from Kugler Mill off to 126, to have that road abandoned, which I know is a big ask, but that would allow the park to become a bigger green space, and it would have easy access from the bike trail where people can stop and take into account the history of Camp Dennison, reading the Morgan's Raiders sign, looking at some of the history of, the Camp Dennison Centennial sign.
So I talked to Bill about that little street, and he told me, I mean, we can discuss this with ODOT, but that's designed as safety because they don't want you to turn right onto the.
You're talking about the little triangle
Yeah,
area.
here's
A little triangle, and
Pointing
it's
to-
on the
But
map
no-
there, you can see
I'm
it.
familiar with it.
I'm willing
so.
to ask him, but he said that would be a huge ask for ODOT because that's designed for safety.
Okay.
So,
I'm going to take a little different perspective. I'm interested in all what you have to say, and I think there's an interest in proceeding forward with some of these things, but we're going to have to flesh them out, okay? We're going to have to prioritize. We're
Right.
going to have to do some of these things. I think there's also some other things going on in the background that you may or may not be familiar with that we're willing to share with you, okay, that could impact a lot of the things you're talking about. So I'll just leave it at that,
Okay,
okay?
yep.
But I think it's great for you to bring in here ideas and thoughts and so on that we can actually sit and look at and talk about and involve you and be an iterative type process to get something done.
so you have an idea of how you want the Cannon, right? That Cannon area, the design, like how you want it to flow.
Somewhat. I think that this is where the township can bring in their architect designers or landscape architects in order for it to make sense. So as to say, the glass is not at the edge of the table, it's in front of your plate where it belongs.
Right.
There's some dead trees that need to be removed. The Cannon, as you can see in the pictures, is just an absolute mess. It's cracked. The Centennial sign, the seals are broken on it. It's, the area's in disrepair.
So
And-
we're working on Blong Park right now. like redesigning some of that. So I was hoping that we could like incorporate this into that project. Like as we discuss long, we can discuss this and how we're gonna and move forward with both.
I think there's an opportunity for the beautification committee, and if these ladies are willing to join that, for us to work on a lot of different things in the township and certainly feature improvements in Camp Dennison.
Mhm.
Okay.
And I know you want book boxes, so I'll remind Bill to get.
They're all great ideas.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think, the thing is that all the surrounding communities, there's a lot of changes going on, and I just had gone through Milford, and they're putting in 140 homes where Milford South is, which is very close to downtown Milford, which they're advertising as affecting the bike trail, which then affects our community.
Is it going to affect traffic on 126?
I'm sure it is. So, we've already got Moeller coming in there. I mean, my point is Camp Dennison really is a community. There's a lot to be said about the history there. There's a lot to be said about how good our neighbors are. There's an old feel to it, but yet it needs to continue to grow
How long
and be
have you lived
current.
here?
28 years.
Okay. I appreciate your passion for it. I really do. It's encouraging to see that.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
I'm willing, I would love to
Yeah.
do these things. We just have to get it organized so we can afford it, and so, we can level what's first, what's second, and take it from there.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
there's, like I said, there's a lot of repairs that need to be done, and
How much one of those signs cost, do you remember?
Is
Like
it the same
$5,000?
size?
1,500.
Barbara, you talking about the same signs like we
Like
have?
the Symmes Township.
They're about
entrance sign.
$200 a piece.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah. So if we start with the.
even if that went there, I don't want things to stop, because my hope would be, honestly, that the abandonment of that road, I understand that there's a safety issue, and I've seen it done where there's larger curves. It's not the same thing, but across from, on the corner of Montgomery and Galbraith Road, you probably aren't even aware of it, I thought it was gone. There is a little park there.
At Pocket Park in Montgomery.
No, in Kenwood, where the new graders has been
Oh,
moved
okay.
to. Red Lobster, Gilligan's
Okay, I
Funeral
know what you
Home.
mean now.
There's a
Okay.
little park in there, and it's been there since I was 18 years old, easily. And I thought it was gone, but you don't even know it's there because it's so well hidden and landscaped. Large bushes gives it a cozy park feel, but yet it's on the corner of an extremely busy intersection. And now what's happened, what they've done with that is Sycamore Township put a sidewalk in so that Graders customers can walk
go
over and use the park.
And eat their ice cream in the park.
Now, the idea is that the bike trail could then come over to the Cannon area and read about the history of Camp Dennison for what it is. And I honestly am not a big history buff, but as I've gotten into this over the last couple months, I'm amazed at the rich history that we have, and I'm all for passing that down to generations. Not knowing things that I have learned because of neighbors, or why Grand Valley was named Grand Valley. Camp Dennison was supposed to have been Grand Valley, but the railroad wouldn't change it from Camp Dennison. They kept calling it Grand Valley. So there's a lot of wonderful things about Camp Dennison, and so I would like to see it stand out as a bit of a landmark that it is, and would ask that you would consider some of these proposals and consider
Absolutely.
putting
Absolutely.
some money towards Camp Dennison.
Absolutely.
Okay. Can we keep this?
Yes,
Do you
absolutely.
have extra copies?
Pardon?
Do you have extra copies or electronic?
I
We
I
can
only
make
made one set
I'll
of
give it to
copies.
Karen. She can put it in our mailboxes.
Okay.
But I can send them to you if you would
Okay.
like me to.
Well, if you have an electronic file, and you can send it to her, or she can send it to us, and we can print it out.
I can just
And
copy
Put
that.
it in our,
Yeah, I can just copy that
Okay.
and put it in your all's boxes.
All right.
and
The one thing I did not bring up to you, I'm just going to hand this off to you. This is just an outline. The other thing that I'd like
Okay.
to consider is And Jody, you saw the bike trail and the intersections, and there, the intersection of Lincoln, Cunningham, and Cougar Mill. They're very dangerous, and up in Miami Township, they've just recently put in some flashing solar-powered motion detection stop signs.
Okay, warning the vehicles that bikers are close by.
But they're actually warning the bikers. They're trying to get the bikers to stop, and it's a real problem. And I
Okay.
actually almost hit somebody as I turned a corner, and the guy didn't stop. He buzzed through the stop sign. And, you know, it happens all the time. And so what they've done up at the Little Miami Trail Yard and on into, there was a grant given by a doctor, the Little Miamiville, I apologize. They put rumble strips. I call them rumble strips. I think that they're actually for the blind.
And did you say they're at the restaurant Trail Yard? Is that what you're talking
The
about?
Trail Yard, they are at the next street down. I want to say it's not First Street. Yeah, it's Ward's Corner.
It would be on Ward's
On
Corner,
down
right?
towards Moeller High School, or where Moeller's new fields are going to be. There's 3 of them that they've put in.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm not sure I know where that is. but-
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So it's not like what we have for a crosswalk.
it is.
It's the exact same thing.
Except it's pointing towards the bike trail versus the roadway.
Oh,
So is that Claremont County?
No.
No, it's.
No, it's Hamilton County.
Hamilton
Okay.
Miamiville might be in Claremont,
Miami
but
Township, Miamiville.
Where I'm asking
Okay.
for them to be are Cunningham, Lincoln, Cunningham, and Cougar Mill Road.
that's all in Hamilton County.
Yes.
So we have to get Hamilton
Miami.
County
Right,
to agree.
that was my
Miamiville
point,
or
is maybe
whatever.
the Claremont County engineer is more, he's more amenable to putting up signage like that, where our county engineer
Yes.
is very by the book. Because we had a hard time getting those speed limit signs down in camp for you guys before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Big issues, getting those things done. And we're trying to put crosswalks in different areas and getting resistance all the time.
Oh, very bad resistance, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. No, really appreciate it.
Mhm.
Okay. Anyone else?
My name's Carol Symmes. I live at 9972 Washington in Camp Dennison, and I'd like to thank Mrs. Wilson for her presentation. Living in Camp Dennison myself, her ideas really sound like they're going to be worthwhile. But I'm a little bit confused. Mrs. Lee, you sort of stated that they needed to be prioritized. Mr. Bryan, you stated there's some things going in the works, but you can't talk about it.
Well,
And
I
then,
probably
wait, no,
can.
just wait a
Can I,
second,
Kim?
just wait a second. And then Mrs. Lee, you said something about rolling it in with the Blong Park project.
I said, as we talk about Long Park, let's also talk about Camp Dennison. That's what I mean. So
So-
when we're talking about, let's talk about both. It's because we're doing work sessions. I think it'd be easy just to, while we're doing the work sessions on Blong, talk about what we're going to do in Camp Dennison. And I like the idea of prioritizing. As you know, Carol, things can be very expensive. So we have to have what do you want first, second, third.
Right, I agree. But if the township's willing to spend $25,000 just for designing an overpass Symmes Township sign, I would think that the communities that we live in would be higher up on the spending spectrum than that kind of stuff. I'm sorry, Mr. Ryan, you were saying something?
I forgot. Go ahead.
Okay, I got, you said something, you said there was stuff in the works.
Okay. Kim, can I talk about it? Okay. Annexation is underway right now to Indian Hill. And a lot of properties that we consider rightly or wrongly Camp Dennison. And all the properties that Indian Hill owns, they're going after to annex into Indian Hill, period.
Okay,
So we need to see how that shakes out. I've looked at a map, and I've seen some that I thought were owned by Indian Hill that aren't in the annexation, which baffles me. So,
Well, we do know that the Cannon area is not getting annexed.
well, no,
So, Right.
But
So,
Grand Valley.
as I talked to
the-
Barb,
the
I think that's a
club.
good start for
Wait a
us.
minute, who? Mr. Bryan, you said Grand Valley?
Grand Valley is owned by Indian Hill.
Correct.
As is what's the sport complex down there?
Correct,
All that is owned by Indian Hill.
correct.
And a lot of properties along 126 on both sides.
What property along 126 on both sides?
From the Camp Dennison sign to the north towards the river, there are a lot of properties owned by Indian Hill on both sides of 126. And as I understand it, part of 126 is going to belong and be covered by Indian Hill if this annexation goes through.
Are they also taking the soccer fields down at,
That's part of the sports
Kugler Mill.
complex, isn't it?
well, there's the park that's
lacrosse fields you're
on
talking about.
126,
Okay,
and then the soccer fields are down at the corner of Kugler Mill
Yeah.
okay.
and Camp.
On the right, heading south.
I don't know which south,
Yeah,
so.
well, Kugler Mill comes
Yeah.
into 126.
So it's going to be a one annexation.
Yeah, it's 400 and some odd, 200 and some odd acres?
No, there's two annexations.
Yes, one's 400 and some odd acres and the other one is,
408 and the other one is 85. So
And
they're
there's
coming
not-
in from each side, like from the north side and then the south side.
and forgive my language, but there's not a darn thing we can do about it.
No, not if it's a one signature
Right.
annexation. Correct.
Yep.
So has the annexation papers been filed or not?
No, Indian Hill is in their stages of reading it. So they read it once at their June meeting, they read it
Okay.
again at July, and they will read it again at their August meeting.
Okay.
Which will be their third
No.
and final reading.
Okay.
They didn't have an
And-
August meeting. It's being read at
Oh,
September.
I'm sorry, September. I'm sorry, back up.
Okay.
Do you know when they
Yeah.
meet?
No.
No.
I don't know
Okay.
when Indian Hill
But I would
meets.
think that if you go to their
Okay.
website, it would tell you.
We will pass that on to our Civic League.
Okay.
Okay.
So I
Um,
I don't think anything's been filed yet. It's just been read at Indian
Right.
Hill's level.
But that still would not affect the suggested beautification areas, because they're going to be remain in
Well,
Symmes
I
Township.
I think we owe it to ourselves to go back and look at the parcels versus what we want to do. That's part of prioritization and everything else, Carol.
Carol, we want to make Camp
I
Dennison as
understand.
pretty as possible.
I
You know
understand.
me, I'm all about beautification. We just have to prioritize what we're going to do first, what we're going to do second, what we're going to do third. I mean, we can't do everything all at
True.
once.
True.
So we just have to be a little bit more organized and, working with Barb and taking it from there.
And that's the same thing you'll do with the Long Park project that you're talking about. Same thing. Prioritize what needs to be done. Not do that as a, because at your meeting, it almost sounded like that was one broad project you were going to do at the Long Park.
There's been no commitment
No.
made other than looking at some designs.
Right.
Okay.
Okay? No commitment at this point in time.
Okay, the real reason why I'm here from the Historical Society. We have been having questions asked us when we have the cabin open, if the trustees intend to decorate the trail at Mead Park. And we were telling them, we don't know, look on the
We are
website.
decorating Mead Park.
Contact the
We
trustees.
made that decision in open session, didn't we?
Contact the trustees and see. We've had some of them come back and say they can't find any information. So we thought if we had that information, we could give that to them when they visit the log cabin.
Okay.
So are there plans to decorate the Mead Park?
Yes.
Do you know when it's going to be decorated?
No. I do it basically myself, so it's when I have time.
Okay,
So like, I try to get it done like in the first part of October. So, yeah,
okay, and then how long will it be up?
till
Till
after
after-
Halloween.
till
Till after Halloween?
Mhm.
Okay, we will pass that on. The second thing is, it's my understanding that at Fall Fest, you're not going to have any food, which the Historical Society had asked about that at the last meeting.
And we said that we were going to hold off a decision on that until we got closer. Now we're closer, and we decided that we're not going to have food or beverages
Okay, so
due to COVID.
can I ask when that decision was made? How that decision was made?
Certainly. As you well know, it's in the purview of the township administrator to survey the trustees. Okay? She makes a recommendation, and then the trustees all tell her what we think.
So,
And on that basis, she surveyed the trustees and at least 2 of the 3 trustees said no food,
Okay,
no,
so,
no refreshments.
okay. So was this survey the same as the one back in April 2017 when it was proposed to the trustees, I have 1 vote yes and 1 vote no, what's your vote? Or was it no comments at all?
Carol, I can tell you, I was talking to Luann and we were discussing it, and that's how I came. We just don't think with COVID that we should have food.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing.
And so that's how I got my word out.
Okay, I'm not disagreeing, it's
I
just
mean,
that
there
the
was
fact.
there was just a discussion that we were planning on where we're putting things, like we have in the past, and she's like, and I'm like, wow, we need that spot where you usually park, and I just don't think that we should have food.
I don't disagree. My concern is the fact that in the past, there have been decisions made by this board, not in a public forum. There was that decision made.
Carol.
Where, no, wait,
You've
where
asked
the
this
comment.
question time and time again, and you've had your answers, okay?
I have not had the answer to this, okay?
Carol, we just
There
told you the
was
answer.
decision
We
made by
already
this
told you the
board
answer.
where
We
the
told you
consensus
answer.
there was no
I-
answer to that.
I
That
told
was
you that
regarding a public records request, where I requested that because that was the statement made. I am simply asking if this decision, when
Carol,
you were
I
called.
told you that I talked to Lou Ann, and that's how I
Okay, you
came with
talked
the
to Lou
decision.
Ann.
So there's the answer.
Okay.
Right there.
Okay.
So what's the point? If I told you that I didn't even talk to Kim, I talked to Lou Ann and
Okay.
said, I don't think we should have food.
So
that's-
before, in April of 2017, you were contacted.
That question's been
Beck was
asked and
contacted.
answered.
No, wait.
We're not
First
going
of
there.
all, I'm going to go there. Mr. Beck was contacted, and then Mr. Bryan received a text message that said, I have 1 for, I have 1 against, what's your decision? All I want
Okay,
to
wait a
know,
minute.
all I want to know,
Wait a
Mr.
minute.
Bryan, when
Here-
you were contacted, were you contacted and made aware of the other decisions or not?
No.
That's all I want to know.
No.
Thank you. That's all I want to know.
No, it's not made aware of any other decision.
Great.
I
That's
was-
all I was trying to
there
get
was
to,
a
but you guys
recommendation-
don't
There
want
was
to
a
listen.
recommendation
Okay.
made,
We don't
and
wanna
they asked me
listen.
how
You're
I
not
felt,
listening.
and I said I concur.
explained to you already.
Great, excellent.
Okay.
So there's
Okay,
ask and
on your
answer.
agenda, can you give me a little bit more information on Resolution G 2021-73? What is that change being made?
Well, do you think we should talk about it when we get there?
Well, you don't allow comments from residents
Yeah,
during that time.
I think we can speak to that.
I would think so, too,
Okay.
yes.
Let's do it. Kim, can you tee that one up? This is the one, Resolution Revising Symmes Township Personnel Policy Manual, Article 2, Conditions of Employment.
I just want to know what the change is.
It is adding the public records policy to our personnel manual per the auditor's office.
Okay?
No changes, just
That's-
where it's placed.
That's all I wanted to know.
Okay.
That's, thank you.
All right,
Okay, thanks.
all right. Anyone else?
Good evening, CJ Carr, 10403 Willow Drive. I'll try to make it quick here. Bringing things to your attention. In August of this year, last month, I made a public records request to get his own copy of his zoning certificate on August 1st. On the 3rd, I was replied back that, from our fiscal officer, that the township has no record of having a copy of the zoning certificate that I asked for. So I went a little farther and asked for the records of all the zoning certificates that have been received by the township. And I got an email back that according to Ohio Revised Code, that information doesn't need to be kept, and it would take additional paperwork to come up with that information to answer the question. So looking back through the zoning certificate receipts, up until approximately May of 2020, the receipts have zoning certificate numbers. And then through into July of 2020, they mention zoning certificates, and then they go basically to zoning, and then later in the year, they go to zoning, pool, fence, just miscellaneous terms. The reason I question this is, again, last month on the 1st, I questioned to get a copy of a zoning certificate. The zoning certificate I questioned was issued on September 14th, 2020, 11 months prior. To my surprise, on August 6th, the check of 2021, the check for that zoning certificate that was issued in September of 2020, 11 months earlier, finally cleared the bank. So why is a check taking 11 months to clear the bank for a zoning certificate? And second, there's no way to follow what other zoning certificates might have been not received by the township and or misplaced, and how many other hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars are sitting in a file somewhere that the township's not gotten funded for on these fees. So I have a copy of their certificate.
This calls for
and check.
clarification on one of the things you stated. You stated that records aren't kept on those. That was never stated to you. It was records are not kept as you desire to have them supplied to you. In a report that's done that Carol Symmes used to do, she included those numbers in her report. There's nothing in the law that says you have to do that. And there's nothing in the law that says that anybody has to go and collate that information from various sources to give you one report. That was the clarification that was made, not that the records aren't kept. The record's there, it's just not all in one spot.
But the zoning certificate numbers aren't there, so how can it be caught if a allotment of certificates numbers are missing?
Well, I'm sure the people who are applying for zoning certificates would be aware that their money's not being utilized. They have to get an answer to their zoning requests, don't they? Are you saying there could be thousands of these sitting around that nobody's heard anything about?
No,
I
I'm
find
saying
that hard to
there
believe.
could be other ones out there adding up to, I mean, for instance, this one was $168, $170. Some of these zoning fees go into the hundreds and thousands of dollars, depending on what it is, BZA cases, and so on and so forth. At least, and again, you did, the information noted on the receipts prior to April 9th was an arbitrary decision of the record keeping of the previous fiscal
Right.
officer. And then you sent me a copy of the Ohio Revised Code that says that basically those records don't have to be
Right.
kept anymore. So what is the checking, though, of if there's, all the zoning certificate numbers should be in order to the township, and
Well,
if
you're
we're
talking
missing
about
some.
one that we did not have a copy of. What happened to that check? I can't answer that. I wasn't there at the time. But why it wouldn't clear, I have no idea. But I don't think we control the zoning issues per se.
Right, but it was deposited by Symmes Township on August 6th of this year.
Well, what are you claiming? It wasn't checked? It wasn't cashed or what?
No, it was 11 months later. That's
Yeah, he's
why I'm
saying
just
that.
asking
We're
why
not-
it was 11 months later.
What he's asking is, what are our checks and balances against Hamilton County's records? What happened, CJ, was that when you paid for that, they put it in a file and put it in a filing cabinet and didn't send it to Symmes Township. Because when you asked for that public record, we immediately looked in our file, couldn't find it, and went, where the heck is it? So then we made a call to Hamilton County. They found it in a drawer. They sent it to us like a week later, and that's when we cashed it.
And that's why I said
So
lost.
he's asking you, what are our checks and balances for the future so that doesn't happen again? Like, how do we combat that? And I think Carol's way of doing that was she kept all the numbers on each one of the receipts so that it was in the system and then she could track that. So that's what you're asking
Right, how
us,
do
right?
we know if there's a clump of zoning certificates missing? And there could be, not that there is, there could
Could be,
be
yeah.
hundreds, thousands, whatever, sitting in a file folder down in Hamilton County that
Didn't get
didn't
transported
get
to
sent
us.
up to the township, which is monies due to the township. So how would we check something like that with the new record keeping? Just brought it up, we can think about that and go from there. It was 11 months that the county, in this case, held onto the check.
Why did you not, it was your check, right?
It was my check, and
Why
it
didn't you
just,
complain about it not being cashed?
it sat
Why
there, it
didn't you
sat
alert us
there,
before 11 months?
and eventually it would come through. I had thought about it, and I finally got around to it, and
If you're like me, the float in the meantime is good in one sense and then bad in another sense.
It
When you
was
say
a-
you wrote it off and now it
it was a
gets
pain
cashed.
every time, going back and going, oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's sitting there, and
Okay.
so on, so.
All right.
Second question I have is, the Willow Road issue that started in February. We were in rush to get the survey done in May and April of getting a surveyor, and May of getting the survey done because it had to be done now and they couldn't do it anybody else in the allotted time. The county engineer said, and again, it's his words, no say on what the township does, but he said the township's going to vote on this in June, and nothing has been seen or said since then. What is the status of where that's at?
We'll let our legal answer that.
Yeah, I guess
Okay.
I can explain exactly where that is at this point. The trustees asked me to seek an Ohio Attorney General opinion because the statute that was in question here on the vacation was relatively brand-new statute. And there was a provision in there that said for the vacation of a township road, it's still the county that does the vacating, but they can't vacate it until the township approves it. That only applies for a township road. The county at the time was of the opinion, the county engineer's office, I should say, was of the opinion that the portion of Willow being vacated was a township road. We weren't sure that that was an accurate opinion, so we asked the Ohio Attorney General for an opinion. The Attorney General issued an opinion that essentially said for it to be a township road, it has to be an established road. And that opinion explains all the ways that a road can become an established road. The only way that was applicable in this particular case is if that portion of the road had been dedicated and accepted. The county had been of the opinion that back in 1947, there was some resolution that the township trustees did that accepted all of the roads and made them township roads. Upon review of that 1947 resolution, when you look at that, it does say that part of Willow was dedicated and accepted, but not the part of Willow that was in the vacation request. Because that part of Willow that was in the vacation request had never been accepted, it's not an established road. And if it's not an established road, it's not a township road. And if it's not a township road, the township doesn't have anything to do with it. We have since shared that with the county, and I guess all I can say is that it's in the county engineer's court right now. But based on the Attorney General opinion and the review of the other documents, this board doesn't have a role in that vacation request.
So the statement of 1927, dedicated and accepted by the trustees of Symmes Township, has no meaning.
No, that resolution, it was 1947.
The original plat of the neighborhood of 1927
Well,
spells out in the bottom, these roads are hereby dedicated and accepted.
what I can tell you is that the 1947 resolution says that the portion of Willow from Rich to Cedar
Cedar,
is accepted.
correct.
That's the only portion that was accepted. The rest of it, that's a paper street, essentially, was never formally accepted. And because it wasn't accepted, it's not a township road. And because it's not a township road, it doesn't mean it can't be vacated. It just means that this board doesn't have anything to do with it. It just would go through the normal county vacation process.
And you were made, or the trustees were made aware of this at what point?
Well, this is relatively
Recent.
Recent, and-
Relatively
Because we're
recent.
in the process of sending out letters.
We have
Yeah.
a draft letter that goes
Signed
out to
tonight.
all the people who should know about it.
Well, and I can tell you, we've made this position known to the county engineer, and the truth is, we were waiting for the engineer to acknowledge that, so that we could
And-
let everybody know.
And
They
we've
have-
had issues.
They have not. The county has
So-
not acknowledged that at all.
I
But
mean-
again, back to the original plat.
CJ, I'm telling you,
1927.
the opinion of my opinion, and what's been passed on to the board in the county, is that the portion that was in the vacation petition was never accepted. And if it's not accepted, it's not an established township road, we don't have anything to do with it. It's up to the county now to deal with it as any other vacation petition would be.
Okay, so pretty much at the township level, it's up to us as property owners to defend our neighborhood and take whatever steps we need to with the county to address this issue. And the wording of the 1927 plat, where it was dedicated and accepted by the trustees, is meaningless.
I'm just telling you the opinion that we've passed on to the county.
The opinion from the Attorney General's office.
Right. Did they look at the
I can't,
19?
I
or have
can't
you
speak,
looked at the
I've looked at
1927 plat?
everything that everyone has submitted on this, over this entire process. I can't tell you exactly what the Ohio Attorney General reviewed. But I
Okay, if
can-
you've looked at it then, for a question then, the Shore Drive Park,
The what?
the Shore Drive Park.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I have only reviewed the question about the portion of Willow on this present vacation. That's all I've got to tell you.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
I just have one clarification. When you were looking at the documentation, did you or did you not take into consideration the 1927?
I'm going to say this one last time.
We just asked that.
I've issued the opinion both to this board and to the county. End of story.
But originally you said based on the 1947 resolution.
Yeah, the most recent resolution that this board addressed.
So did the 1947 resolution?
I'm not going to argue with you,
I'm
Carol.
I'm not wanting to argue. I just
Real-
want some clarification. Did the 1947 resolution say that any action taken in 1927 is void?
The
Did you even look
the
at-
1947 resolution accepts dedicated portions of right-of-way. It specifically says it accepts the portion of Willow from Rich to Cedar. It does not accept any other portion of Willow Road, period. End of review. That's the opinion. It's been passed on to the county. I have nothing more to say.
Okay, so you're not going to say that you reviewed the 1927?
When I
and
say I
even
have
though-
nothing more to say, it means I have nothing more
You had
to
nothing more to
say.
say. So I'm just going to make a statement that it appears that you're not taking into consideration the 1927 paperwork that was submitted to the board regarding that, and that you're basing your decisions solely on a resolution adopted in 1947, and you do not know if the 1947 resolution voided out the 1927 action. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, moving on. Any correspondence up for discussion? Okay, events and meetings. Board of Zoning Appeals meeting will be held Monday, September 13th, 2021 at 7 PM in the Safety Center. Story time with the library this month will be at Symmes Park on September 27th, 2021 from 10 a.m. until 12 p.m. A trustees' work session has been scheduled for Tuesday, September 28th, 2021 at 6 PM in the Administration Building. And a zoning staff review is scheduled for Tuesday, September 28th at 6 PM in the Safety Service Center. Fall for Symmes will be on Friday evening from 5 to 9 PM at Symmes Park on October 1st, 2021. The Board of Zoning Appeals meeting will be held Monday, October 4th at 7 PM at the Safety Center. Our next regular trustees meeting will be held on Tuesday, October 5th at 7 PM in this location, Safety Center. And the Finance Committee meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, October 13th, 2021 at 6 PM at the Safety Center. Okay, under old business, I move approval Resolution G 2021-62, a resolution authorizing the fiscal officer to hire a records retention assistant pursuant to Section 507.021 of the Ohio Revised Code.
Second.
Uh,
I think we talked about this last meeting.
Discussion? Okay. Roll call.
Ms. Lees,
Aye.
Mr. Bryant,
Aye. New business, well, we already talked about Camp Dennison beautification. Is there anything to be added?
No, I just think that we need to like prioritize what we want done first, second, third, and then start moving towards our goals.
Okay,
So, a couple of questions.
sure.
Are the little libraries on the way?
I will make sure, I told Bill once, and they
He
probably
did give me
either
a-
have to make them or order them.
Okay.
Didn't
So-
Dave Hyder make a couple of them?
He did, but I think they
Those
moved
were
to
smaller ones?
ordering them, because
Okay,
we have.
they're bigger.
Yeah, the story, it's kind of flourished, the little libraries, so I'll make sure I get with Bill, and then if you leave your number,
Okay.
I'll call you, okay?
Okay.
Okay. I have another question. Along the bike trail, I did take a picture of it. Along the bike trail, ODNR,
Yeah.
Friends of the Bike Trail, just came and took down one more tree. There's been 2 taken down. There's 2 more slated to come down. Some residents have planted along the area of Clement Road. There's been trees that have been planted some years back. With the clearing of these trees, it would be beautiful to have trees continued down that line. And that was another question that I had proposed to, was a part of the beautification. There's a question as to the tree that was taken down is here. The trees that are planted the rest of the way are here. And I'm not sure where Symmes Township line is. And
I think that's going to require some coordination between Symmes Township and ODNR. Because when you start dealing with multiple jurisdictions, and I will say they're very good.
I've been talking to them, they've been wonderful.
They've actually given us grants for the Storybook Walk and the paved and the Mead Preserve and so on. So we've worked with them a lot in the past, but what it requires is anytime you're talking about 2 different government entities, you have to sit down and reconcile what's what. And we haven't been there yet, and I think that's something we're going to need to do, to understand it.
Yeah, I've talked to Melissa up at the ODNR, and she, there's the question again now, this tree is down, the stump is very high. The one, they said, the Friends of the Bike Trail said that they would take it down if possibly we could collaborate with Symmes Township, that we could get those stumps taken out. And then we could do some more planting along the way, and they would be willing to even plant in that area. So they're very, very.
Are they working with ODNR for permission to do those kinds of things?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
So why don't I have Bill call you?
Okay, that would be great. And I'm just going to go ahead and hand this off to you, because
Okay, thank you.
I appreciate.
You want to write your
time.
number down? Sure. And I'll have him call you. Sure. So we get everything in that you want.
I appreciate you listening. Thank you for your patience.
We don't get that a lot. People yell at us all the time.
Okay. Next item under new business is it really a motion or, I guess it is.
Yeah, we have to
I
say-
moved that we set a meeting date for interviews for various committee applications. Kim, you have any suggestion on that?
Kim-
Is that the kind of thing we can do before the trustees meeting?
Can we wait till Phil gets back and set it? Because,
Oh, that's fine.
yeah,
Okay.
I was thinking,
Okay. Now, how many interviewees we're going to have to fit in?
We have 6 so
Okay.
far.
All right. So that's going to set a block of time that we need to talk, and if we can get advance information after, and set it up, because we have to coordinate with those applicants also, so. Are you suggesting that we wait till Phil gets
Yeah,
back
check
until we
his
schedule this?
schedule. Yeah, I think we should look at his schedule because we don't know.
Okay.
And I'm excited
then it
that we
won't-
have
then it-
six
but-
people actually want to volunteer for us.
But
That's
that
awesome.
won't, that won't take place until
I don't
after
think
the
that's ever
October
happened
meeting.
before.
Okay. All right. So you want to make a motion that we table this until Phil gets back?
Sure, I'll make a motion to table, setting a date for interviews for the various committee until
Okay.
Phil gets back.
Okay, I'll second that.
Do I do
Roll call on the,
Mr. Bryant,
aye.
Ms. Lees.
Aye.
Okay. Now I moved it. Do I need to move the table in now? Or do we just changed it?
Thought you already voted on
I
it.
thought that
That was
was.
it.
Okay,
to
all right.
Yeah.
Okay, a roll call? We did that?
Yeah.
I'm about one step behind tonight, so. I can laugh at myself too, so.
Happens to
Okay.
us all.
I move to set a public hearing date, special meeting on Wednesday, September 22nd, 2021, at 6 PM for a zone change request from 00 planned residence with subservient office/major revision to an existing EE planned residence district for 9365 Fields Erdel Road.
Second?
It is what it says it is, so roll call.
Ms. Lees,
Aye.
Mr. Bryant,
Aye. Okay, I move approval of Resolution G 2021-71, a resolution approving the 2021 street lighting assessments.
Second?
Okay. Any discussion?
I think we're on top of it.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
The assessments will be based on the expenditures that we had for the lighting district in the last 12 months, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
From
Okay.
September last year through August of this year.
Okay. Roll call?
Mr. Bryant,
Aye.
Ms. Lees,
Aye.
I move approval of Resolution G 2021-72, a resolution approving various other nuisance and false alarm drop assessments for 2021.
Second?
Any discussion on that?
No, these are just bills that we had left over from last year that we couldn't assess until this year because they do assessments in September.
Okay.
So they are,
This is on tax bills, is what you're saying?
yep,
Okay.
so this will get billed to their taxes for, I think there was 4 nuisances that didn't get paid and 3 alarm drops that didn't get paid.
Okay. Got it. Anything else? Roll call?
Ms. Lees,
Aye.
Mr. Bryant,
Aye. I move approval of Resolution G 2021-73, a resolution revising Symmes Township Personnel Policy Manual, Article 2, Conditions of Employment.
Second?
We already discussed in open session what that really entailed. It's a merger of a couple different articles into a place where our state auditor wants us to have it. So it's no changes, just where do you put it? So,
And that's where
With
she
that in
wanted
mind-
us to put it.
yeah. With, any other discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Bryant,
Aye.
Ms. Lees,
Aye.
I move approval of Resolution G 2021-74, a resolution providing for the declaration of nuisance for the property located at 9303 McKinney Road and authorizing all necessary steps for the abatement of the nuisance.
Second.
Okay, we've seen the pictures and so on.
Yep, and there was no change today. Luann went out and visited the property and took pictures again. It's in the same condition.
Okay. Roll call.
Ms. Lees,
Aye.
Mr. Bryant.
Aye.
Which we took from the neighbor's property.
I move approval of Resolution G 2021-75, a resolution authorizing the Township Administrator to purchase a Township Battalion vehicle from Bob Ross Chevrolet and Southeast Apparatus LLC in the amount of $57,873.
Second.
Any discussion? That's what you hung around for?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So just let the trustees know, that vehicle has over 100,000 miles on it.
And broken crankshaft, right? Yeah.
The
So it's
Ford
not drivable.
dealership-
Not doing us any good the way it is.
The Ford dealership was very expensive, so we actually towed it to another shop. He gave us a better price, but it was still way
Yeah,
more than that.
18,000 versus 13,000, something like that. Yeah.
Yes, it was way more. And at some point, I'll have to get with Mr. Hensey, so that in a future meeting, we'll need to have a resolution authorizing us to take the old chassis and place it on gov deals, so that we can sell the old chassis, but we've got a couple of months to be able to do
Okay.
that, to dispose of that car.
Will we get any money for it?
Oh, yeah,
You will?
you'll get, because some landscaping company has a loader laying around that they've got in a junkyard or from somebody else, so I expect we could get, $4,000 or $5,000 out of
Okay.
Okay. All right, roll call.
Mr. Bryant.
Aye.
Ms. Lees.
Aye.
That money was budgeted for next year anyway, wasn't it?
it. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, but we budget money every year for vehicles, so we just haven't used it for this year.
Okay. I move approval of Resolution G 2021-76, a resolution authorizing Township Administrator to hire Jeffrey Weigel, I hope I pronounced that right, to the position of Service Worker 1.
Second.
Roll call?
Wait,
You want
couple
discussion?
questions. I just want to ask, obviously, we interviewed him. Who interviewed him?
Bill did.
Bill did,
Mhm.
and Bill likes him, and does he have prior experience?
Yep.
And he'll fit in well here?
I would believe so. I mean, I'm leaving that up to Bill.
All right,
His
that's right.
resume and everything was in the package, and he has a lot of experience
I missed
operating
that resume.
equipment and so
Okay.
on, but he lacks a CDL.
Yeah,
and
which
he's getting that.
Right, yeah, he has plans to get that. He was going to get it last year, but COVID, they canceled all the classes, so he plans to do that this coming
Okay.
year.
All right.
Okay. Roll call.
Mr. Bryant.
Aye.
Ms. Lees.
Aye.
I move approval of Resolution G 2021-77, a resolution authorizing the fiscal officer to sign a letter of arrangement between the auditor of state and the township and an amended letter of arrangement for an increase in audit services to the total amount of $18,819.
Second,
I forgot to change it.
you want to explain
Huh?
I
that?
forgot to change it,
I
even though he
changed it
said something to
mentally.
me.
Can we explain that real fast?
Yeah, we had a 15,000-ish allotment for the biennial audit, for the state auditor to come in and audit our books and so on. And to date, they're asking for an amendment to amend that up from 15,000 to 18,319 or something like that. So they're asking for a little more money.
Okay.
I don't know why we caused them to spend more money.
Can I object?
You could, but I'm not sure what good it
Wouldn't
would
do any good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we learned a lot from the state, how when you get a grant on one hand, somebody else at the state has to administer it, and you have to pay the fees.
Right.
So you don't get what the grant is, you get the grant minus somebody else gets money out of it, so go figure. Any other discussion on that item? Roll call.
Ms. Lees.
Aye.
Mr. Bryant.
Aye. I move approval of Resolution G 2021-78, a resolution establishing a separate special fund 2272 within the UAN to account for the American Rescue Plan Act funds pursuant to House Bill 165 and Senate Bill 111.
Second?
Okay, this is just to establish a special
Housekeeping.
fund, and it's probably an accounting thing brought up by the auditor.
Yep.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, because they won't let you put it in, they won't let you commingle the funds in your general fund, so you have to put it in a separate fund.
Okay. All right. Roll call.
Ms. Lees.
Aye.
Mr. Bryan.
Aye. I move approval of Resolution G 2021-79, a resolution authorizing Township Administrator to sign a community event license agreement with the Loveland Boosters for use of the Home of the Brave Park and Symmes Park for a 5K fundraiser race on October 9th, 2021.
Second.
Okay, and this is our standard boilerplate
Yeah. We gotta say discussion.
community event license agreement, and they're going to pay for insurance.
That's what I just want to make sure we have the insurance like we do for everyone.
Yeah, what
Yes.
happened with this one
Okay.
was we approved it at our last meeting, but the school was
I
originally
remember.
gonna take and provide the insurance certificate for it, but I got a call back from Jim Dahlmeyer saying that the boosters, the school doesn't wanna have anything to do with it, so they want the boosters to take care of it, so the boosters are gonna get the insurance certificate and
Okay,
sign the agreement with us.
so this is an
A
agreement we
redo.
already signed, but now we're changing the recipient.
Yeah, since, right,
Okay,
so it's a redo.
okay. Roll call.
Mr. Bryan.
Aye.
Ms. Lees.
Aye.
I move approval of Resolution G 2021-80, resolution authorizing Township Administrator to sign a community event license agreement with the Loveland School District for use of the Home of the Brave Park and Symmes Parks for a cross-country tournament on October 16th, 2021.
Second. Didn't they just have one?
Yes,
Yeah.
and this is the second one, this is like their tournament that they do in October.
Good for them. I'm glad they're using the park. They make it nice. They cut little sections out. It looks
Yeah,
good.
they're not going to set off fireworks?
No, I told them they couldn't do that.
Okay. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Lees.
Aye.
Mr. Bryan.
Aye. I move approval of the following expenditures and authorization for the Township Administrator to sign any necessary contracts or agreements or paperwork. A, amend the following: Fund 2401-310-314, the Lighting District, add $186 for a final appropriation of $4,486. Item 2, amend the following: Fund 2191-210-314, Police Fund, add $220 to a final appropriation of $11,220.
Second?
Okay.
I don't know if you're going to read B.
Yeah, B is an expenditure, but there aren't any, so I'm gonna strike B.
All right.
Okay, so on the table is two slight fund increases for final appropriations.
And these were for tax collection purposes, so when we received our second half of taxes, we
Yeah.
didn't have enough in those two funds, because you just never know what the auditor's gonna charge
Yeah.
you, and because they slide their percentage up and down.
Yep. So it's another case of you do something and somebody else gets a slice of the pie. Okay, roll call.
Mr. Bryan.
Aye.
Ms. Lees.
Aye.
Okay.
And then we can strike the executive session.
I want to strike the executive session because we
We already
talked,
took care of it.
we already considered the compensation and employment of public officials in the resolutions we passed. So I move to adjourn.
Second?
Roll call.
Mr. Bryan.
Aye.
Ms. Lees.
Aye. Thanks for coming.